Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Good sense prevails, and it's for a while now. I've been seeing that Gary Griffith is going back onto the right side of things. But anyhow, get to the news report. Former Trinidad and Tobago Police Commissioner Gary Griffith has dismissed attempts by the Venezuelan government to destabilize the Caribbean region and violate international laws. Griffith, who made comments on several social media platforms, criticized the Nicolas Maduro regime for its aggressive actions towards Guyana and the Twin Island state, highlighting the migration crisis, drug trafficking, and illegal activities that have strained resources and security there. He said this is a clear situation for years of being the aggressor and now trying to play the victim, just like what bullies do. That's what bullies do in schools and everywhere else. When they're confronted or when the victim decides to finally retaliate, they cry foul and claim to be victims. I tell you, it's an evil world that we are living in. And that's why it angers me so much when I see Trinidadians supporting and defending an evil man like Maduro and talking about our America lying. Am I saying that America is saints? No. Could America be doing a lot of foolishness at times? Yes. Fully agree with that. I don't find that the Trump administration should be making any deals with terrorist nations like Qatar. But that's a whole different discussion. Getting back to the report. So he said Trinidad and Tobago, it is Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana are the ones under threat, not Venezuela. Beautifully said, my brother. His comments come after United States President Donald Trump announced yesterday that a second vessel believed to be transporting narcotics leaving Venezuela was targeted and struck by the U.S. military, killing at least 3 on board. Reports from various press engagements and statements by Venezuelan military officials have been circulating, with President Maduro and Defense Minister Vladimir Padrino Lopez making remarks that appear to insinuate threats aimed at destabilizing Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago. That's how bold-faced they are. We shouldn't be able to say, yes, we stand up with America in their fight against drug traffickers, human traffickers, illegal gangs. Maduro should be supporting that. If he was actually a legitimate leader of Venezuela, he would have been supporting America's war against the illegal gangs. Matter of fact, he would have been asking America, let me assist you with this war against the illegal gangs. Why is he protecting the illegal gangs, people? I might be sounding redundant by using that word over and over again, but why? That's the question. But Trinidadians who are blinded by tribalism will never ask those questions or even want to give an honest answer. No more overheating phones. Cool your phones in seconds. Prevents damage to phones and battery issues. Better gaming experience and streaming. USB powered and fast charging. Lightweight and quiet. Ideal for kids and adults. Works with all smartphones. Makes a great gift. Enjoy free island-wide delivery. Call or WhatsApp 868-762-6589. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, we the People's Prime Minister, says she is not concerned about comments made by Venezuelan's President Nicolas Maduro, saying the U.S. has never requested any access to our territory for any military action against Venezuela. Exactly, people. Maduro and his minions are putting words in Kamala Persad-Bissessar's mouth, and it's horrible how the media continues to push the false narrative. It's horrible how the PNM minions and the elite Syrians and the Lebanese in Trinidad and Tobago continue to push false narratives. My response, the Maduro regime is constantly attempting to provoke Kamala Persad-Bissessar into making statements that the media will use against her. They know what they're doing, you know. They're trying to trap Kamala, including our own media. That's how vindictive and evil they are. Although recently they were doing some nice little investigative journalism into corruption in the PNM. But putting that aside, generally, 99% of the times, they report against the UNC and they basically turn a blind eye to the PNM. Getting back to the report, Persad-Bissessar into, right, so media will use against her, but thankfully, thus far, she's using restraint and wisdom. I am so proud of my Prime Minister for doing that, because she could have been falling into the trap. I would have most likely fallen into the trap and started to give them real talks, real chats. She's not falling for it. I went on to say the only time U.S. troops will be needed in TNT is if Maduro decides to officially wage war against Guyana and TNT. The Syrian and Lebanese elites don't need to feel intimidated by the Americans. The most they're doing right now is crushing your underworld empire from afar. You still own TNT and the PNM. I don't know what they're worried about. The Syrian elites and the Lebanese. There's nothing to fear. America not going to come and crush your empire in a physical way. The most is going to happen is that you're going to lose a whole lot of your agents on the outside that would have been bringing in all the drugs and the illegal ammunition and firearms into our country. Bear in mind, people, I do continue to support the rights to bear arms, but it must be done legally. You won't be disappointed with this one. Look and feel great every day. Painless trimming with no pulling of hair guaranteed. Comfortable to hold and lightweight. Intelligent anti-pinch system. Safety travel lock. Accurate and painless trimming. Durability, 100% quality. Fast charging. To place an order, call or WhatsApp 868-762-6589. Staying on this same topic for a little while, President Donald Trump, just like what I reported just now, they said the U.S. military again targeted a boat allegedly carrying drugs from Venezuela, killing 3 aboard the vessel. That's what Gary Griffith was talking about. My response for that particular report, Donald Trump is using the National Guard in the USA to assist in restoring law and order. Because, listen, the reason why I gave this response, people online were saying, oh, Trump coming for Venezuela oil and for 3 oil here in Trinidad and Tobago too. He just lying and talking about criminal gangs. All of a sudden, there's no gang problem in Trinidad and in Venezuela. You know, all of a sudden, it's just lies being made up by America. And yes, that's to tell you how tribalism blinds the minds of people here in Trinidad and throughout the Caribbean. But getting back to what I was saying, that so the people online were saying that is the reason why, and oh, how he's not targeting crime and criminal gangs in America, and how he turning a blind eye to Colombia and Mexico and stuff like that. But that's a lie by itself, because he has been putting down his foot when it pertains to the criminal gangs in those Central American countries as well, and in Mexico. And he was talking about the Panama Canal. But anyhow, let me read my commentary, my response to the individuals online who were saying that Trump doesn't really care about the crime issue. What he's doing is coming after Maduro's precious oil, as though the oil belongs to Maduro anyhow. My response, Donald Trump is using the National Guard of the USA to assist in restoring law and order in lawless states, which are governed by woke, radical, leftist Democrats. He's not just fighting crime here in the Caribbean, people. He's also using ICE agents to arrest dangerous criminal gang members and deport them back to their respective homelands. So once again, he's not just targeting criminal gangs in the Caribbean. His administration is also addressing the use of the Panama Canal, just like what I was now saying there, for drug and human trafficking. And yet fellow treaties and their jihadist allies continue to push the false narrative that he's coming after Venezuelan oil and want ours too. He isn't targeting And they also say this other thing. He isn't targeting the criminal gangs in the USA, but is attempting to bully our poor, precious president, Maduro. I said all that just now, but I'm reading what the response is there. It's either these individuals are simply ignorant of the facts or deliberately choose to spew blatant lies against Trinidad's greatest democratic ally, the USA. I believe it's a little bit of the both. I believe there are individuals who are with just malicious intent, trying to cause problems between Trinidad and America, trying to cause a division, trying to cause division. Also, they're trying to make a shine a bad light on our Prime Minister, we the People's Prime Minister, Kamala Prasad, Bissessa. You see what they're encouraging? They're encouraging Maduro and his regime members to be insulting our Prime Minister and calling her drunk and all kind of nonsense. You know, PNMites would have never been tolerating that if Maduro was insulting Emperor Thanos Rowley. But Kamala, they love that. They love to insult Kamala. Changing the topic now, but still local news. Strong winds swept through Claxton Bay on Friday night, knocking over Kenny Coates' 2-bedroom wooden house. Now the 25-year-old structure lies in splinters, while Coates spends his nights on a couch under a relative's house, staring at what remains of his home. That is extremely sad. I hope that there will be good Samaritans out there that will assist this man in rebuilding a home. I hope that the Syrian elites and the Lebanese elites will assist this man, but that is not going to ever happen. They use their media to highlight the stories, and that's about it. An 82-year-old man was tied up and robbed at his home in San Juan on Monday. Police said the incident happened around 11:50 a.m. at Bongji Road when a man entered the victim's yard armed with a knife. Trinidad again, boy, coming to reap the ancestral inheritance that was taken away many moons ago, and demanded money and jewelry. The suspect forced the man into his bedroom, tied his hands with a belt and his feet with a bed sheet before stealing $60 in cash. That is what the man had. A Samsung cell phone and the keys to his vehicle. That's the most expensive thing there, along with the phone, of course. He then told the victim, "Don't come outside. It has a man with a gun," before escaping in the victim's green Nissan B13. A B13 is not even a modern day car, people. The man is a really, you call that a real working class citizen. This stinking nasty Trinidad decided to go and reap his ancestral inheritance from this man, because the man shouldn't even have a B13. The man shouldn't even have $60. The man shouldn't even have a phone. No, it all belongs to these Trinidad patriots. The vehicle was valued at $25,000 as well. I'm telling you, it's an old-time vehicle. I would love to have a vehicle like that. Still, I have none whatsoever, but still, what I'm saying is, it's not to say it's even a modern-day vehicle. It's not to say even talking about somebody who is from the higher part of the upper class or something. It's a working-class citizen that you went and just terrorized because you feel you was bad man. Yeah. The police officer who shot and killed his colleague Jamal Charles is still being detained. Attorneys Stefan Budram and Nala Pudan are representing the officer who has been detained since Friday following his hospital discharge. The officer is helping with the investigation and has not yet provided a statement to the police. Later this week, police are expected to seek guidance on the next steps from the Director of Public Prosecution's Office. Most times, police in Trinidad and Tobago get away with any type of crime, including murder. But you see how is a murder of their own colleague? Yeah, this one might be able to get away with. Some regional news now. The Guyana Police Force, GPF, Traffic Department has reported that a total of 1,819 traffic cases were recorded between September 7th and 13th, 2025. As law enforcement continues its heightened crackdown on dangerous driving. That's what we need to focus here on here in Trinidad. Not the parking stupidness and dangerous driving practices and road safety violations. Of the cases logged during the period, 674 were directly related to common traffic offenses, with speeding leading the list at 231 cases. I'm telling you, the need for speed culture exists throughout the entire Caribbean, especially Trinidad and Jamaica and Guyana. Maybe just maybe it happens a lot in those smaller islands as well. We don't really hear about road traffic accidents in those other islands as much. But then I don't really highlight the news in those other islands, so I don't know what really takes place in those other places. But even look at America. America has a need for speed as well, people. Telling you, the entire world is obsessed with this speed thing, even though they know that it ends up costing drivers and other people, other occupants of the vehicles, and other drivers on the roadways and pedestrians as well, their lives. Following the collapse of a section of a wooden walkway on the Wismar-Mackenzie Bridge, Region 10, Upper Demerara, Upper Berbice authorities have begun discussions for comprehensive repairs with technical support and expertise being provided from the Ministry of Public Works. And of course, it's the Irfan Ali administration that is in office, and everything could be done within 5 years. Although that's how PNMites behave, and that's how the tribals even in Guyana would have expected Irfan Ali to fix everything in Guyana within his first term. No, it's going to, he has one fine, thankfully, one a second term in office, and definitely a lot of these other infrastructure issues will be addressed. See, the ministry has already taken note of it, and they're going to repair that bridge. 2 men who admitted to trafficking sizable quantities of narcotics were on Monday handed prison sentences and hefty fines following their separate appearances before magistrates. As the Georgetown Magistrates Court, Jason Bascom stood before Magistrate Azor and pleaded guilty to having 4.078 kilograms of cannabis, weed. That's the new false god of the entire world nowadays, in possession for the purpose of trafficking. For the offense, he received a 3-year prison sentence along with a fine of $30,000. In my opinion, though, honestly speaking, I've said this over and over again, I don't believe in anybody using weed, but honestly, I do not believe in imprisoning anyone either for having it in their possession. And it depends on whether the type of trafficking. There's a small man on the block that's selling some weed and things like that. I don't believe anybody's supposed to be facing any prison time for that. You see the big-time drug pushers, because they are actually leaders of gangs and stuff like that, and they have committed all sorts of other more dangerous and deadly crimes, violent crimes. Definitely those are the individuals that need to spend time in prison. But the other small drug pusher on the block, nah. Fines, definitely, yeah. Fines and community service, yeah. Those are the ways to be able to deal and address that type of issue. But it should not be how people talk about legalize the herb. And I don't believe in legalizing no herb. It's destructive to your cognitive function, people. No more overheating phones. Cool your phones in seconds. Prevents damage to phones and battery issues. Better gaming experience and streaming. USB powered and fast charging. Lightweight and quiet. Ideal for kids and adults. Works with all smartphones. Makes a great gift. Enjoy free island-wide delivery. Call or WhatsApp 868-762-6589. News from Jamaica now. A 2-year-old boy and a 25-year-old man were killed in a drive-by shooting along Grenmead Road, Kingston 20, Monday night. The toddler has been identified as Tajon Jackson of Inaniville, St. Andrew address, while the man is Kamali Powell, otherwise called Beans, a businessman of Grenmead Road. But we want to tell the whole world that we are a region of peace. Yeah, peace. Turf wars on a daily basis. Drive-by shootings on a daily basis. But we are a region of peace. We don't want the white man to come into the region, Jed, and fight crime. Yeah, it goes to show the vast majority of these individuals are telling you they're either obsessed with just hatred for the white man, or it's because they're actually involved in crime, and that's why they don't want their money, the eater food money, to end up being taken away from them. More news from Jamaica. Tragedy struck in Smoky Vale, St. Andrew, where an 18-year-old Queens student, school student, was shot dead during a home invasion. Real peaceful region and people. Police say she was confronted by an intruder who shot her in the head before fleeing the scene. That sounds personal, boy. Sounds personal. Doesn't mean that she was involved in crime, you know. Maybe that was somebody at X, something. That sounds personal. Investigators raided the St. Andrew apartment of a journalist in connection with a massive money laundering and stock manipulation probe involving National Commercial Bank shares. So corruption as well. I'm not sure if that individual has anything to do with the with any political party in Jamaica, though. So, but nevertheless, it's a journalist. So, but I know journalists, mostly journalists and them in Jamaica, anyhow you take it, will be leaning on the Andrew Holness party side. JLP, I think that's the name of the political party. But it doesn't really matter. This person was caught in corruption and justice is being served. International news now. Two suspects, 58-year-old Adib Nasir and 31-year-old Adel Nasir, were arrested in Salt Lake City, Utah, for placing a failed bomb on their news media van covering the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Another terrorist attack, was attempted there, people. But those are the freedom fighters of the world and the tribals here in the Caribbean supporting, and the far-left radicals in America support these freedom fighters who are ready to take the lives of journalists who are covering the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Because maybe, just maybe, those journalists were conservatives. I highly doubt they were going after CNN and NBC and stuff like that. Because those are far-left radicals that despise Charlie Kirk, that despise born-again Christians, that despise conservatism in general. But here in Trinidad and Tobago, of course, they'll be clapping, applauding. They would be saying, oh, it shouldn't have failed. And they're standing, and they might even want to raise funds to help these two jihadists to be able to get legal representation in America. I'm telling you, we're living in a really sad and demonic time. You won't be disappointed with this one. Look and feel great every day. Painless trimming with no pulling of hair guaranteed. Comfortable to hold and lightweight. Intelligent anti-pinch system. Safety travel lock. Accurate and painless trimming. Durability, 100% quality. Fast charging. To place an order, call or WhatsApp 868-762-6589. For more international news, Italian skier Matteo Franzoso has died at the age of 25 after suffering a head injury during a training session in Chile on Monday. That's a freak accident. Condolences to the family. The International Ski and Snowboard Federation, FIS, said the skier sustained head trauma after losing control on the first small jump of the training course on the La Parva slope near Santiago. That's why me and personally, I don't think I will ever try doing those type of sports. The government of Ghana said Monday that 14 West Africans deported to the country from the US have been sent to their home countries, places where lawyers representing one of the men say they face a risk of persecution or torture. Jed, my response: if officials of Ghana are aware of a threat to these individuals' lives, why are they sending them back to their home countries? Why the lawyers don't raise an issue about that? They want to be talking about America, but like Mama Africa supposed to win with arms wide open. Not so? Come now, man. America did what they have their rights to do. Deport individuals. Most likely these individuals committed very serious crimes. But now they land in Ghana. If you know that their lives are in danger by sending them back to other areas in West Africa, why are you sending them? Keep them there. I went on to say, be your brother's keeper. by allowing them to stay in Ghana and provide them with housing as well, provide them with jobs as well. Amen? Because Black Lives Matter. But you see, the Black Lives Matter movement are hypocrites, total hypocrites. They only care about their black people when a white person is involved in some sort of crime. Other than that, they don't care. They don't care about the high crime rate within the black communities. They don't care about the drug abuse and the exploitation of the women. They don't care about how Christians are being murdered by the thousands in Sudan and Congo and Uganda and these other places, Nigeria. They don't care. No, Black lives only matter when a white person murders a black person, when a white police officer murders. It's wrong. I'm not saying it's right. But when a white police officer kills a person, that's the only time Black lives matter. Other than that, they don't give a crap, people. They just don't give a crap. Now, Prime Minister Netanyahu says there is currently an attempt to impose a siege on Israel by various bodies and different countries led by Qatar. First of all, a media siege funded by huge money from both Qatar and other countries like China. In the coming years, we will need to strengthen our independent weapons industries so that we have independence in armaments and armaments economy and the industrial capability to produce them, and therefore we will break through this siege. So they have achieved global isolation? No. The US is with us. That is what Netanyahu is saying. The US is with us, as are many other countries, but we currently have a focused problem in Western Europe. And we are acting and will continue to act to remove this siege, just as we succeeded with the military siege. So we will also succeed with the diplomatic siege. What I will add there is, I think below everything there, he was basically sending certain messages even to America, even though Trump is supporting Israel at this point in time. Israel is realizing that it is conditional, and the more Israel becomes independent and attacks radical jihadists throughout the world, like how they attacked the Hamas leaders in Qatar, and America denounced it, Netanyahu and the Israeli leadership are realizing more and more, listen, we are really on our own here now. But you know what? We still need America to back us up for now, so we're going to mama guide them. I believe most of that statement about America is really mama guiding, because Trump was wrong for condemning Netanyahu's actions, taking out, or supposedly taking out, at least it was an attempt to take out the leadership of Hamas in Qatar. Trump shouldn't say anything about it, because you're being totally bold-faced and hypocrites. And then you're wrong also for complimenting the leadership of Qatar. Qatar is a funder, they are funding terrorism around the whole Middle East and the world. Why on earth would you say these are good guys? He's wrong for doing that as well. Speaking about Donald Trump, President Trump, in response to a journalist's question about his message to Netanyahu following the Doha attack, he said they need to be careful, and that's what I disagree with. I don't like what he's doing and saying at all when it pertains to Israel at times. They need to do something about Hamas, but Qatar is a wonderful ally of the US. Boy, Trump, why? Because they give you a jet? The ruler of Qatar is a wonderful person, total tata. I told them they need better public relations. I tell you, sometimes I don't wonder if Trump going cuckoo, or if it is Trump just using a whole lot of sarcasm and mama-guying people as well. Just like how Israel mama-guying America right now. Either that or both of them know the game that they're playing, and they just mama-guying, America mama-guying these radical jihadists to keep them unaware of what is the actual plan. And then, of course, Israel mama-guying America for I don't know what actual reason, because if you're aware of what America is doing by just pretending to like Qatar, then why are mama guying? But it's also to throw off the media and throw off everybody. Because then these leaders around the world will be saying, "Ooh, there's tension, there's tension between America and Israel, Because just the same way I would have read between the lines to know that Israel is saying we have to become independent in the production of weapons. It shows clearly that they are not going to depend on America anymore either, people. They said independence. They didn't say we will increase the production and therefore, but we will still continue to depend on America. No, he didn't say that. So I'm telling you. But I feel there's a lot of game playing. But besides that, Donald Trump is definitely spiritually blinded because they're not supposed to be even playing these games with these terrorists. He went on to say, the ruler of Qatar is a wonderful person. I told him they need much better public relations. People say such bad things about you because he deserves to be told those bad things about himself. And it shouldn't be that way, Trump went on to say. Qatar is a wonderful ally, so Israel and everyone else, we need to be very careful when we attack them. He's just like to piss off people like myself. And I'm sure he pissed off Netanyahu as well, but Netanyahu will never admit it. My response, this is either spiritual blindness or he's playing psychological games with leaders of the Arab world. It could be a mixture of both. What Trump fails to realize, this is one fact that we could rest assured about. What Trump fails to realize is that you don't play these kind of games. You don't mamakai radical terrorist people. You don't do it.
What was your message to Benjamin Netanyahu about the strikes on Qatar? It was reportedly so.
Well, my message is this. They have to be very, very careful. They have to do something about Hamas. But Qatar has been a great ally to the United States. A lot of people don't know that. I told the Emir, who I think is a wonderful person, actually, I said, you need better public relations because you don't really get the public relations. I mean, people talk of it so badly, and they shouldn't be. Qatar's been a very great ally. So Israel and everybody else, we have to be careful. When we attack people, we have to be careful.
According to estimates, 20,000 Gazans headed south during the night and early morning, bringing the total that has left Gaza City to an estimated 320,000. So thankfully, a large fraction of the residents of Gaza City realize, you know what, it isn't worth it to be faithful to our Hamas terrorist leaders. You know what? Life really is valuable. We are going to comply with the instructions given by the IDF to evacuate Gaza City so that the IDF can continue to fight against the radical terrorist Hamas. They are complying, and that is wonderful. I'm happy to hear that. And the Israeli authorities are also happy to hear that because they don't want to actually commit genocide, people. If they intended to commit genocide, they would have never been instructing the Gazan civilians to evacuate, to leave Gaza City. They wouldn't have been providing humanitarian aid and providing areas in the southern part of Gaza for these individuals to go and stay in, where they'll be given even medical attention if needed. And once again, as I said before, humanitarian aid. But the mainstream media and the United Nations despise Israel so much that they continue to push the false narrative about genocide.
The last several days have been extremely hard for our country. They've been hard for me, hard for my family, hard for the countless people in this building who knew and loved Charlie Kirk, and of course, they've been hardest most of all for his darling wife, Erica, and their two beautiful children. The thing is, every single person in this building, we owe something to Charlie. He was a joyful warrior for our country. He loved America. He devoted himself tirelessly to making our country a better place. He was a critical part of getting Donald Trump elected as president, getting me elected as vice president. And so much of our success over the last 7 months is due to his efforts, his staffing, his support, and his friendship. I don't think that I'm alone in saying that Charlie was the smartest political operative I ever met. Everyone knew him as this fearless debater, this guy who would take the conservative message into hostile places and inspire younger generations to have courage. One thing that's hit a lot of those young Americans over the last week was how Charlie was there for them when others were not. When they were afraid to speak their minds, when they were afraid of what a professor would say, when they were afraid that they would be shouted down by their peers, Charlie was there, showing them that they could be courageous and that they could be bold. Charlie was a visionary. He was a luminary. He brought together people. He didn't just teach people how to speak. He didn't just teach people what to say. He didn't just teach people they could actually speak their mind on campus. He created a whole social network for an entire generation of young people. I know people who met their husband, who met their wife, who met the best man at their wedding at a TPUSA event. Because as you guys all know, it's not just about speaking our mind, it's about making friends along the way and creating that support network that won an election and that staffed the current federal government.
No more overheating phones. Cool your phones in seconds. Prevents damage to phones and battery issues. Better gaming experience and streaming. USB powered and fast charging. Lightweight and quiet. Ideal for kids and adults. Works with all smartphones. Makes a great gift. Enjoy free island-wide delivery. Call or WhatsApp 868-762-6589. Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe, most of all. In Jesus' name.